Jim Conti, 108 North Roosevelt. Mr. Mayor, I got a feeling sitting here that you don't seem like you're for this RFP.
You get that sense?
Yeah. So now when I ask you personally,
yes,
and I think every councilman's up there has an obligation to the taxpayers of Brigantine. So this gentleman just talked about every avenue going down. Well, if you're against the RFP, I have not heard from you as Mayor Gunther. This is the avenue that I think personally, in my opinion, that we should go down.
Are you ready?
Well, no, I'm not done. I'm not done yet. Okay? In other words, instead of just pointing fingers and saying, I'm against it, bring everything to the table, what everybody suggests. Andy Simpson says he felt like, I was railroaded, there was 2 lawyers there, or Tony did this. Okay, but since that day that happened, what plan did you bring up? I didn't hear your plan tonight. So what I'm saying is, bring your plans up to the table.
You're asking for my plan.
Yes.
My plan is, if we can put the money in escrow and make the taxpayers whole, I'll do the RFP that way.
Okay, well, you just state your plan. That's what I'm saying.
I've been saying that all along.
Everybody's opinion should be stated out, exactly what each one feels.
I don't want to tell somebody they have to put $2.5 million into our golf course and not pay any rent. That doesn't make the taxpayers whole, because the golf course is playable, and that's what it is.
I understand that, okay, but I also don't want to see the taxpayers to constantly getting bled. You know what I don't understand down here? What amazes me with the taxpayers, you sit down here, you got to, I don't think you realize there's only a small amount of taxpayers down here right now. You got a lot of people who don't live on this island that are paying taxes that don't vote. So of course it's like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And you're bleeding all these taxpayers who don't live down here all the time that pay the same tax money as the people that do live here. So you have to think about every taxpayer, not just the ones that play.
We should have this discussion in July.
Pardon me?
We should have the discussion in July when all the taxpayers are here.
I agree.
Then we can talk about the RFP, and we'll talk about making the taxpayers whole.
That you should have 2 meetings in July. In June, July, and August for those people to come down to the island here.
And talk about the golf course?
Talk about whatever. This way they have more of a feel, because all you're doing is giving down here and bleeding those people.
Jim, you asked me a question.
Yes, Mayor. I'm sorry.
I'm not in favor of just putting out an RFP. Okay? And I've said that from the beginning. Anybody who conducts a study has to look at all options, and you would need to be able to define, first of all, what are the benefits and what are the costs of each of those options. That hasn't been done. If we look at the fact that we're going to own the golf course in 4 years, and we know that debt service is fixed for 4 years, we know what our costs are. We also know that this year is not indicative of every year. Okay? There is something different about this year. Superstorm Sandy impacted the golf course as it has every homeowner who's dealing with it as well. So we need to look at a lot of options. The RFP may be one of them. But did we look at other things like management company that we have, putting an RFP out for another management company? Did we look at forming a nonprofit organization, having that nonprofit organization run the golf course as they do in Egg Harbor Township? Have we looked at privatizing the food service? Have we looked at a financial plan? If we do nothing, if we just hold the line, I mean, we've all done that in our own lives. We can't spend the money right now. We're going to have to defer that. We looked at that and what that would mean. No, we haven't.
Why?
We haven't done any of those things.
Why, may I ask?
Because I got an RFP that's come to me. I had a golf course architect show up. I've had an RFP show up. And now we're moving in that direction. So what I'm saying, and I think I'm hearing from a lot of people here, is let's look at all the options before we go down that route. Why are we looking at 24 years? Has anybody told us that? I don't know. And what is the overall impact? What does it mean when you have an RFP and the person who's operating the golf course doesn't perform? And I know there are a lot of things that we can talk about, but what's it mean to the individual homeowner during the interim when things are being fought out in court? All those things need to be talked about. But there are a lot of other options that have not been explored.
Okay, well, that's my point. I don't understand why nothing's been explored. Just, in other words, it seems like just that one option's been explored.
My point exactly.
Well, I'm asking, I don't know who to go to. I'm asking you as the mayor, why hasn't he? Have you asked anybody?
I have. And if you go back.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll take your word if you said you did. I'm just saying, I don't understand that. I'm sitting there listening, and it seems like you have different options. Why wasn't this checked? And I'm saying to myself, well, how come they didn't, the board, the council, why didn't they discuss it among themselves instead of just sit back and have one person that seems pushing for this RFP, you know what I mean? Seems like one person's pushing this, nobody else wants to speak up and say, yo, hold step back. Why don't we try this also? And look at both, and then have two options, and then study it. It seems like we just gave in. And now we've got it on the floor, and everybody's arguing about it. And we're, like you just said, we didn't look at this option, this. We're only looking at the one. It's ridiculous.
I agree, Jim.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you.